p.m. and then tip-off is 7 p.m. And tonight we are joined by Monica McNutt. She is MSG's pre- and post-game analyst, as well as ESPN New York Knicks radio analyst. And hello, Monica. Welcome back to Sports Extra for this special time of year.
Tina, I'm excited to be here. Hope springs eternal as we get ready to kick off a fresh season.
And we need this fresh season with the way the New York football is working out right now. And Monica, look, there are high expectations for these Knicks this season. I just played golf at the John Starks outing. Of course, I talked to him, Kurt Thomas, Chris Childs, Greg Anthony, and the legend Bernard King. They all used the words championship contenders. Now, you've had a close eye on these players this preseason. What makes this narrative even possible this year?
Well, I think the first thing that comes to mind for me, Tina, is the equity that they've built up in the last couple of years' runs, if we're quite honest, in terms of the core group of guys that are going to be a part of this team's success. And then I can remember some conversations as we were preparing for the preseason. Josh Hart, Jalen Brunson, those guys, even Karl Anthony Towns, talking about the chemistry that this team has and the accountability that they have within one another. I'm excited to see what kind of fruit that bears in terms of knowing that no one wants to be the weak link in an opportunity year full of opportunity as far as this team achieving its goals.
So when you have this core that remains together, what is new head coach Mike Brown doing different with them?
Well, we've heard ad nauseum, quite honestly, to this point so far, Tina, that we're going to play faster. We're going to play faster. I think I was curious after I believe the Minnesota preseason game where he admitted we weren't running any plays. We just want our guys to get accustomed to reacting and making basketball plays without there necessarily being a play call. I think the speed is something that folks need to be prepared. May not mean that your New York Knicks are going to run up and down the floor the way that we saw the Pacers do last year, but it will be a focus on pace that fits the personalities and the skill set of this group. I think in addition to that, I'm excited about the opportunity to read and react and to put the defense at a deficit, because we know around the league, Tina, including with the New York Knicks, scouting reports are done so diligently. Defenses know what you want to run, and I think the best teams and the best players have that in mind, but are still able to make a play that still puts the defense at a disadvantage.
Who's going to be the player that's kind of the engine and pushes this offense to operate a bit faster?
Well, I think it's going to fall a lot on Jalen Brunson, but I actually look at the two Wingstop guys, as they were affectionately nicknamed last year when it comes to Mikal Bridges and OG Anunoby, as guys that now have the opportunity to get up the floor and not necessarily have to go to a specific spot in order to space this offense. They'll have the opportunity to read and react, of course, in a high basketball IQ sort of way. But I think those two guys I'm curious about. But I truly believe that Jalen Brunson is talented enough, and he's an MVP caliber type of player, that he will be able to adjust whether the game calls for games to be a little bit slower, which we typically see come postseason, or if this team is going to have a rhythm and a flow in which the ball gets out of his hands and gets back up the floor quickly.
How does just all of this change in offense, as minor or nuanced as it may be, impact what we will see from Karl Anthony Towns and his skill set?
Well, I think Kat he's obviously one of the more lethal big men in the leagues in terms of the multiple ways that he can score. I'm curious to see what this focus on pace does in turn on the other end of the floor in terms of this team's defensive prowess. Teams that usually like to play with pace, shots go up quick, and you got to decide, are you sending folks to the glass to offensive rebound, or are you sending folks back in order to defend early? So I'm curious to see what the philosophy will be as that continues to emerge, but I have no reason to believe that Karl Anthony Towns won't be able to adjust in this system as well.
How will Mike Brown utilize the bench more, and will we see legit load management this year from the Knicks?
Well, we've already heard a little bit of that when it came to Mitchell Robinson in terms of navigating some of his lower body injuries of the past. So I do think that there's a little bit more forward thinking in that regard as opposed to the past. But I'll be honest, Tina, you and I both, we heard all of the discussion around our very astute and very diligent Knicks fans. And yeah, it depended on which day. Was it the coaching decision? Was it the player decision? But what I will say, having spent time with a lot of these guys, is these guys want to play.
I love, Monica, how you brought up the Knicks fans, because look, and I covered the team for many years. Knicks fans are knowledgeable. They know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
But is it wrong for Knicks fans to continually point to the Pacers being without Tyrese Halliburton this season, as well as the Celtics being without Jason Tatum, as an advantage for the Knicks in the East? Because, you know, I'm hearing it on the streets from the fans, even those Knicks legends, they were talking about it too. What do you think about that?
Do I look at this season and say that there is a margin of opportunity because of the injuries to both Indiana and Boston? Yes. But do I also know that Boston in particular, I think people are sleeping on a bit in terms of the depth that they've had over the past and how good Jaylen Brown has been and the opportunity that Derek White has? Do I have more questions when it comes to Indiana? Sure. But do I respect Rick Carlisle as a championship winning coach? And so I think two things can be true. When you look at the minor margins and the ways that you have to find opportunities, yes, I think that is fair to say that this will probably be what is considered down years for those teams. But does that mean in my mind that those teams are going to be walks in the park? Absolutely not.
Yeah. Monica, so great to talk to you. Can't wait to talk to you all season. Monica McNutt, MSG Networks, pre- and post-game Knicks analyst. You can hear her on the radio as well. Good luck to the entire MSG Networks broadcast crew, my old stomping grounds this season. So tell everybody I said hi, Monica.
I will do that. Thanks for having me, Tina.
And we'll see you Wednesday. Sports Extra, we'll be right back.